Most Christians don't realize this, but when you tell a hurting person that their pain is a demon, you're not liberating them, you're shaming their humanity. After my EMDR session, my shame self surfaced. He looked like a snake, literally. He whispered that he was a monster, and he believed that if people saw him, they'd think I was a monster too. And that's when I realized something terrifying. The way deliverance-obsessed church culture talks about emotions actually creates that monster. Not in your spirit, in your identity. Okay, so here's the hidden message many churches teach. Negative emotions equals demonic activity. Feeling down, demon. Anxious, open door. Depressed, spiritual attack. Angry, you need deliverance. This splits your soul in half. You learn that the parts of you that hurt are not welcome in God's presence unless they're fixed, rebuked, or cast out. The church would never say it out loud, but the logic is clear. If something in you is painful, then something in you is evil. That is black and white thinking, and it's spiritually destructive. I know this because I lived it. For years, I believed every argument, every emotion, every dip in my mood was a sign of demons. I used to think maybe demons were inside of me. Sometimes I thought demons were inside my wife. And because of that belief, we ended up in cycles of mistrust, paranoia, and confusion that I didn't know how to escape. It created massive rifts between us. We didn't know what was happening. All we knew was that something felt wrong. So we sought out help. And the only help we knew about was deliverance ministry. Instead of bringing clarity, it created chaos. But I didn't see it at the time. I wasn't confused. I wasn't shaken. I actually thought it worked. I thought demons were cast out. I thought me and her were finally good. I walked away believing the session fixed us. But under the surface, everything was falling apart. We weren't closer. We were disconnected. We weren't healed. We were numb. We weren't unified. We were just putting on a spiritual performance of everything is fine now. Because that's what we were taught victory looks like. I convinced myself our marriage was going to get better because the demons were supposedly gone. Meanwhile, the real issues, the emotional wounds, the nervous system distress, the relational patterns were untouched. We didn't get delivered. We got distracted. And the crazy part, it all felt so holy at the time. But it wasn't healing us. It was traumatizing us. What finally shifted everything was when I learned about the nervous system, how emotions actually work, how stress works, how trauma gets trapped in the body, how shame operates. And the moment that clicked, everything I had been through finally made sense. It was never demons. It was dysregulation. And it became even more obvious when I had my first real breathwork session. The physical release, the shaking, the crying, the energy leaving the body, it looked similar to what I saw in deliverance ministry, but the meaning behind it was completely different. In breathwork, it wasn't cast this out. It was let this move through you. It was emotional release, not demon hunting. It was integration, not spiritual fear. And what's wild is that I focused on God the whole time, my God, and it felt natural. It felt safe. It felt like he was actually there, not in fear, not in chaos, but in peace. What told me everything I needed to know: when you believe your pain is demonic, you learn to suppress and deny. You over-spiritualize. You dissociate, you hide behind scripture and perform to stay clean. You start throwing Bible verses at parts of yourself that actually need compassion, not condemnation. Now, faith isn't love anymore. It's a survival strategy. There are two bad theologies that drive this damage. First, Christians can't be oppressed. So negative emotions become fake, not real, unbelief, and weakness. And the second, Christians can be oppressed. So every emotion becomes proof of spiritual failure or demonic influence. Either way, your humanity becomes the enemy. And then this bleeds straight into your marriage. Because if emotions equal spiritual warfare, then you can't regulate. You can't slow down. You can't be vulnerable. You can't share your internal world. You can't receive your wife's emotional cues. Instead, you respond with cold logic, spiritual answers, intellectualizing God, emotional distance, and moral pressure. She doesn't get you, she gets your theology. And the home becomes disconnected, resentful, superficial, and spiritually performative. Eventually, it collapses, not because of demons, but because of disconnection, dressed as holiness. But scripture never demonizes human emotion. David said, "Why are you downcast, O my soul?" Jesus said, "My soul is overwhelmed to the point of death." And Paul said, "We despaired of life itself." The Bible validates the full spectrum of human emotion. God doesn't say, "Get rid of your dark parts." He says, "Bring your dark parts into my light." Demons don't flee when you deny your emotions. They flee when you tell the truth. Your pain is not a spirit. Your pain is a story, a wound, a pattern, a nervous system trying to survive. The monster you see inside is just a part of you that wasn't safe to feel. Jesus doesn't exercise your humanity. He embraces it. Your monsters aren't monsters. They are messengers. Real deliverance is not screaming at your trauma or fasting until your emotions shut up or forcing yourself to worship until you feel numb. Real deliverance is telling the truth, regulating your system, staying present, letting God into the room you've been avoiding, and integrating your story, also reclaiming your humanity. The devil doesn't show up in your sadness. He shows up when you're taught to hide it. And the Spirit of God empowers transformation, not suppression. If this hit you, subscribe. I drop teachings that help you regulate your fire, face your story, and break the false self so you can actually rise. New episodes weekly, shorts daily, and comment what hit you. It helps the channel. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next teaching. And if you want more, go check out the teaching library on my website at kurtismercer.com. Everything I teach lives there in long form. You're not alone in this. Keep going.